Okay, well, welcome to part two of week one's little mini lecture video. I'm going to go to share screen now, and we will take a look at the class to see some more of the details, which you didn't get to see before. And we'll make you go away, and here we are. So in this class, we've already talked about, be sure to check the announcements every week or so. There'll be some new ones that appear. The syllabus you saw on Google website that's over here, but also there's a button that'll get you there within the course button syllabus within Anthro 32. It also shows all the different dates that things are due. You can look at these dates, or you can look at the all-in-one schedule, or you can even click on calendar, and it will show you due dates for things that are important. And then you can add these dates to your own calendar so that you won't forget to do the work you need to do. Modules within Canvas, people have it set up different way in different classes. For our class, we mostly rely on the all-in-one schedule. So there's module 1 for this week. And then please click on these and look at these different things. And then for all the other weeks, you'll just click on the all-in-one schedule. The study guide that I mentioned, I was showing you a little earlier, is there, so you can see it. And the all-in-one schedule that we talked about earlier. Let's take a look at that. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit to week 1 and move this picture of me out of the way. So from here, you can click and jump to syllabus, announcements, study guide for the week, or you can go through this menu on the left side. It's your choice. It tells you what your homework is. So you read chapters 1, 2, 3, tells you the page numbers right here. Tells you to watch a video. To watch this video, when you click on it, the JC will have you use the same password that got you into Canvas. This particular video is pretty long, 1 hour and 17 minutes. So I'm suggesting that you watch it at 1.25 speed if you're able to comprehend it at that speed. I tested it, and to me, that works pretty well. That gets it down to about 1 hour. And don't forget that when you read the book chapters and you watch the video, to use your study guide, because it helps you with some prompts about what you might be looking for. If you click on close, this little button here, by the way, shows you how to change the speed, which most of you, I'm sure, know how to do. Over here, there's closed captions so that you can read while you're watching if you'd like to. We talked about the many projects briefly, so you can click here and read about it and then read it again. And if you have any questions after that, send me an email. Please do not post questions within the Canvas website. Instead, send me an email and I'm happy to answer your question. When you are in a group, this mentions that you have to go to your group this week to introduce yourself. So when you are in a group, if you click over here on groups, you'll see whatever group you're in. I'm not going to click it because instructors have a different view than you do as far as groups go. I've named the group with Anthro 32 so that if you happen to be in group 1 and 2 or 3 different classes, you'll know which group 1 to click on, the one for Anthro 32. Within the group, you're going to be replying to a prompt that I give you each week. This one is pretty easy, introducing yourself. And then in week 2, you'll come back to this week 1 discussion and you will reply to one of your classmates. On Friday, you must remember to take your quiz. And this will take you to the quiz right here, this link, or you can come over to quizzes and you can click there. Then we go to the next week and you'll see the same pattern all the way through. Notice right here in week 2, it says you're not reading chapter 6. There are over 500 pages to our textbook with 2 columns with an incredible amount of information, which is difficult to remember all the information. So we've made a strategic decision to have some of these peoples that are in certain chapters be chapters or peoples that people could learn about, students can learn about, and then report out on via the mini projects. So please don't spend a lot of time studying a chapter that tells you that it's optional and there's no quiz questions on it. Instead, just study the other chapters in a little bit more detail. And then there's the next video, which again, it's a long one, so it says you could watch it at 1.25 speed. There are the videos that we have, I think are good. The librarians work with me to develop access to these for you so that you don't have to pay anything to watch the videos. There were others that were available where there was a charge, but we decided on the best videos where it's part of the library service. So in week 2, you do go back to week 1 and you make a reply to the people who posted their introductions in the previous week. Okay. You will be able to look at your grades by clicking on grades, and it will have your name, and you'll be able to see your grade for all the different. You won't see everyone else's grade, but you can see what your grade is for each of the assignments and also each of the quizzes. So if you are the kind of person that likes to keep track, you can. All right. And this menu looks very long because what we're looking at is the menu for the instructor. The menu that you would see for students is just the things that are up on this side. Okay, so I'm going to take us off of sharing, and I have a little bit more information to share with you. Hang on just 1 second. Okay. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this textbook. I think I mentioned I've looked at 12 textbooks, all of the ones that were available within the US on this subject. And this is the best textbook, but it's not a perfect textbook. All authors of textbooks or edibooks or websites, as you may have discovered by now, have their own biases and sometimes give opinions. Sometimes they give some facts and don't include other bits of information because the person maybe only has 500 pages to tell everything that they want to try to tell you. So there is some bias. That is one of the things that's really, really important for you as a college student is to learn to listen to faculty members, to other people in the class, be able to look at the websites that are out there, which, as you know, include a lot of information. It's not necessarily true. Books, and then always be thinking with a critical mind. Does this information make sense? Is this author's point of view, or is this necessarily the reality? Do I agree with this professor? Well, why? Why not? And that's a really important skill. That critical thinking, problem-solving aspect or skill is something that when you finish college, employers appreciate that. And you probably wondered from time to time, why is there certain jobs that require a college degree? And then you talk to people and they said, well, I didn't really know how to do the job. They taught me how to do the job after I got hired. Well, one of the reasons traditionally why people would hire a college graduate over someone who hasn't had a college education is because they didn't want to hire somebody who just believes everything they're told or who doesn't know what to do with a set of facts. They want people who can analyze, think through what is the best approach to a problem, and then have critical thinking skills and then help the employer. So I know when I finished college, I've had a number of jobs that I would have never imagined I would have had when I was in college. I learned how to do those jobs on the job, but each time the employer or boss said, I really appreciate that you're really somebody who thinks critically, who's able to put together a big picture and give recommendations on the best way for us to approach different kinds of problems. So as you're reading this textbook, I'm sure there'll be parts where you're thinking, I don't know about that, or gee, this person's using some words that are sort of inflammatory about certain aspects of history. Well, that's good. That you should be thinking those kinds of things, and then take from it what's best, just like you have from your other college classes and from the things that you've heard from different professors. Everything you hear is not necessarily correct, or it might not be the point of view that you would have. So I thought I would mention that at the beginning, because as I read the book at first, I didn't really think too much about bias, but by the time I finished the book, I thought, there's some points of view here that are not really that balanced, and leave out certain aspects of history, because again, it's only, the book's already big. She can't include everything about that was going on in Europe and other places that led to, for example, the point of view that Europeans had, and even what was going on amongst the different Native American tribes. So you'll have to read critically, think critically, and then make up your own mind. All right, well, that's all for this week. I'm glad that we had this short chat, which is going to be even shorter next week. And I hope that you have a good first week. Thank you.